Good evening, parents, families, and community members. Welcome to the Douglas Family Community Cluster Training Session. We are glad that you could join us this evening for our training. Again, families, we want to welcome you to our family community cluster sessions. We are glad that you could join us this evening and have a chance to learn about all the academic initiatives that we are providing in Atlanta Public Schools. So tonight you'll hear a little bit about our universal screeners for academics and for mental health and behavior. You'll also hear about our intervention block. And finally, you'll learn a bit more about Securely, which is our platform that we are using to assist us with monitoring our APS issued devices. At this time, I want to turn it over to Dr. Woolfolk, who will provide you with a greeting before we get started.
Thank you.
Dr. Woolfolk, unmute for us.
Sorry, I thought I hit it. Thank you, Dr. Florence. I am so excited to welcome all of you here tonight for this wonderful occasion where we get to really hear about all of the wonderful academic initiatives that are taking place. So Douglas cluster principals, students, and community, sit back, take notes, and get ready for what I see as a very wonderful way to interact with our academic teams here in Atlanta Public Schools.
Thank you, Dr. Woolfolk. So here are our meeting norms for tonight. Be polite and respectful to others. Please ask questions in the chat if you think of them as we are moving along. Stay focused on the topics at hand. Be patient, assume everyone is doing their best. As you can see, we just had a slight technical difficulty, so we ask that you be patient with us, and we will do our best to be patient as well. So here's our agenda for the evening. We will do some, we just did our welcome, we'll do some introductions. We'll review our K-12 universal screeners, the NWEA MAP, and the BASC-3 BESS. We will discuss intervention and enrichment. We will talk about Securely. We will take questions from you and provide answers. And then we ask that you stay for just a few minutes to give us some feedback as we wrap up our session. So to begin with, we wanted to let you know a little bit about us. So we make up the Division of Academics for APS. Our leader, Yolanda Brown, is the Chief Academic Officer for the Division of Academics. I am Selena Florence, the Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning, and I will turn it over to my colleagues to introduce themselves as well.
Good evening. I am the Assistant Superintendent of Student Services, Katika Lovett.
Good evening. I am the Assistant Superintendent of Instructional Technology, Aaliyah Henderson Rosser.
So the departments that make up the Division of Academics, we have 3 departments. As I said, I am responsible for teaching and learning, and that department is made up of curriculum and instruction, ESOL, DLI, and world languages, early learning, CTAE and signature programs, SEL, or social emotional learning, and JROTC. Student services, Dr. Lovett's department is made up of health services, student supports and interventions, special education, and summer and after school programs. Dr. Henderson Ross's department, Instructional Technology, is made up of media services, instructional development and design or professional learning, instructional technology, and virtual programs, which includes AVA. So to begin our session, we wanted to make sure that you understood that all of our work is driven by our district strategic plan. It is created from 2020 to 2025. It will serve us until 2025, but everything we do aligns with the goals, the action steps, the strategies and priorities that are built throughout our strategic plan. We have several strategic priorities that also live in that plan. They are fostering academic excellence for all. We truly believe that all means all of our students. We want them all to be successful. We are building a culture of student support. We are equipping and empowering our leaders and staff. And we are creating a system of supports for all schools. All of that is wrapped in equity, excellence, and engagement. Our APS 5 is also a driver of our work that is new to APS this year. There are five essential best practices that we want to see in all of our schools. Those include data, which says that we will use data to drive all of our instructional decisions and ensure equitable outcomes for all of our students. Curriculum and instruction, we will implement rigorous and culturally relevant and linguistically responsive curriculum with fidelity in all core content areas. Whole child intervention, we will implement a whole child system of supports that integrates SEL, behavior, wellness, and a comprehensive academic intervention plan. Personalized learning, we will use flexible learning tools, technology integration, and targeted instruction to personalize learning for all of our students. And finally, signature programming, we will strengthen the implementation of signature programming across all schools in APS. All right, now we will get to our NWEA MAP screener. So as most of you know, or you may have heard, NWEA MAP is our new universal screener for all of our K through 12 schools. So this slide just gives you a little bit about the purpose and the value of the MAP growth assessment. It is a computer adaptive assessment for reading and math, and computer adaptive just means that it gets harder or easier depending on how your child answers the questions. It is a part of our APS academic recovery plan, which will be in place for the next 3 years. That included our summer program, ARA, our intervention block, and also our universal screener. It serves as the first time that we have had a screener for all of our K through 12 students. So all students K through 12 will take this universal screener in WEA MAP. It's connected to our strategic plan, which I just spoke about, and it helps us to identify student learning needs at the school level. So each school will know the learning needs of each individual student at their school. It helps us and the schools to set and monitor goals for each student. It guides instruction and also what happens during intervention. And it helps us to know how much students learn and grow throughout the course of the year. So we will take the MAP assessment in the fall, the winter, and the spring. So we will know from beginning of year to end of year how our students have grown based on this assessment. So the MAP assessment suite is made up of 2 different parts. So you have the MAP reading fluency suite, which is given to all of our pre-K through 2nd grade students. Some of our 3rd grade students take it depending on how they do on the MAP growth assessment. The MAP reading fluency assessment really assesses foundational skills. It's about 20 minutes for our students. It assesses comprehension to see how well they're understanding what they're listening to. And it helps teachers to understand how to group students to meet their individual instructional needs. The MAP reading fluency assessment is available in both English and in Spanish. The MAP growth assessment is assessment we give again 3 times a year, and it helps us to see how much students have grown over the course of time. It helps teachers to be able to take the data and group students based on their needs, and it's also available in English and Spanish. MAP growth is given for both math and reading for all of our K through 12 students. So a little bit more about MAP growth. As I said earlier, the questions get harder or easier depending on how your child responds. So it's adapting to how they answer the questions. It measures what students know, but it also tells us what students are ready to learn next. So teachers have a good idea when they finish the assessment of where to go next. MAP growth measures both growth and achievement over time. Students participating in our DLI, our Spanish DLI program, will take both the Spanish and the English assessment. And then our Spanish-speaking English newcomers, whose Spanish literacy is stronger than English, will take the Spanish assessment. And remember, the MAP growth assessment is K through 12. The MAP reading fluency assessment is again for grades pre-K through 2. It is online. It's assessing foundational skills. Do they know their letters? Do they know sounds? Are they able to decode or blend? It's an oral reading assessment for beginning readers through independent readers. It measures comprehension of material that's read aloud. So we know that students in kindergarten and sometimes 1st graders are not reading yet. So they are listening to see if they are comprehending what is being read aloud to them. And also those foundational reading skills are being assessed. It also has a speech recognition piece where students can read to the platform and it scores them based on how they're speaking and what they're saying. So we finished up our MAP growth assessment on Monday, September 20th. That was our last day to assess. So this week, and maybe into next week, you should see coming home a family report. This is an example of a family report that you might see coming home with your child. The family report gives you a summary of key results for the given test term. So since we've only taken it in the fall, you'll have a summary of results for the fall. It gives you a summary of all the subjects that were tested in this given term. So for this assessment, for this time, you will see the math score and you'll also see a reading score. The family report provides you with data to show if your student is on track. So you will know if they are on track to be successful on the milestones or ACT and SAT as they get older. It gives you as a parent the student's strengths and weaknesses, so you know how well they're doing, what they're doing well with, and areas they may need to grow and improve upon. And it also gives you suggested areas to focus on and to help with at home as you work with your child. So please look for the family report that should be coming home in this week with your child. You should also see a family guide that comes with that report. And the family guide just gives you a little bit more information about the MAP assessment itself. It tells you how the assessment works. As you can see, the green and the red lines tell you a little bit about how it works. It also tells you about what the assessment measures. It tells you about the RIT score, which your child will receive a RIT score, as well as a growth goal. And it also has some common questions for you as a parent that you might ask as you're looking at your student's family report. There's also a website at the bottom that gives you more information about the MAP assessment and also more family resources if you have additional questions. The family guide is available in 12 different languages. So we have that available in whatever language you may need as you see that coming home for your child. So you should see both the family report and the family guide coming home with your child this week, maybe early next week, to give you information about how your child has performed on our first MAP assessment. We'll take the MAP again in the winter, so you'll get another family report then. And finally, we'll take the third assessment in the spring, and you'll get a family report then as well to let you know how your child has progressed from beginning of the year to the end of the year. All right, we will pause here for questions. Do we see any questions in the chat? All right, so at this time, I will turn it over to Dr. Lovett.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm very excited to share with you the second part of our discussion tonight, which is around our BAS3, the Behavioral and Emotional Screening System, our second universal screener around behavior and mental health. Tonight, we have with us Dr. Shannon Hervey, who is our Director for Student Intervention and Support. And Dr. Hervey is going to walk us through the BAS3 or the BESS tonight. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Hervey at this time to begin the discussion.
Good afternoon. As part of the Whole Child Framework, the district secured its first ever universal social, next slide. As part of the Whole Child Framework, the district secured its first ever universal social emotional behavior screener, which was the BAS3 BESS. The BESS screens for a variety of behavior and emotional disorders that can lead to adjustment problems. The screener is a quick and efficient way to screen students ages 3 through 18 for behavior and emotional risks. Next slide. You may be asking, why screen for social, emotional, behavioral health? In addition to learning more about the risk all students may be subject to, the beauty of this screener is that it will help to put students on the radar of schools who otherwise may not be there, including those students who won't advocate for themselves and students whose academic and behavior successes actually mask their social, emotional, and inner struggles. The data from this screener will create an evidence-based pathway for students to receive additional supports, provide information that will help schools to focus effort, time, and resources on students who have the highest needs, and will aid schools in making big picture programming decisions in support of students. Next slide. The screener will be administered twice per school year, once in the fall and once in the spring. The fall administration window opened September the 16th, and it will close October the 1st. The spring administration window will open February the 15th and closes March the 1st. Screening will be completed during a student's homeroom period, advisement period, or in the event that a school has neither a homeroom or advisement period, it will be administered during the period designated at the school level. While students can access the BAS-3 BESS student self-assessment via My Backpack, parents are also invited to submit screener information for their students. Parents can access the parent form of the BAS-3 BESS using a link that will be provided on the APS website. Parents will receive score reports following each administration window, and for the fall administration, parents can expect student reports to be sent home between October the 11th and October the 15th. Parent reports will be available also in Spanish. Next slide. The World Languages Department has worked collaboratively with Student Support and Intervention to ensure that the needs of English learners and their families are addressed throughout the screening process. Digital access of the screener is available in English and Spanish. Pen and paper administration is available in multiple languages, including English, Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, and French. Parents who have a native language other than English or Spanish can obtain a translated paper copy of the BAS-3 BESS from their student's school. Parents and students must utilize the student ID number to gain access to the parent and student form of the BAS-3 BESS. One-to-one or group administration opportunities are available for students who need support to complete the screener. And parents and teachers may be asked to complete the screener on behalf of students who have mild intellectual disabilities that may impede their ability to complete the student form. Next slide. Any parent of a student ages 8 to 18 who does not wish for their child to take the student self-assessment of the BAS-3 BESS should return the opt-out form to their child's school. Please contact your child's school if you did not receive an opt-out form. Parents only need to opt out of the screener once during each school year. Next slide. The BESS will analyze a student's behavior from 3 perspectives: teacher, parent, and student self-report. Students ages 8 to 18 will complete the self-assessment. However, screener information for students younger than age 8 will be provided by teachers and parents. Teachers will provide screener information for students in grades kindergarten through 12th grade. Parents are invited to provide screener information for students in grades pre-K through the 12th grade. Teachers and parents should expect to spend 5 minutes or less to complete the screener, and students should expect to spend 5 to 15 minutes to complete the student self-assessment portion. Next slide. Take a moment to take note of the screener indexes that you see here and their explanations. These acronyms you will see on the next slide as we preview a sample score report. The screener will produce student data that is measured in risk. Teacher and parent forms will reveal whether a student is at risk for externalizing behaviors such as hyperactivity or aggression, internalizing behaviors such as anxiety or depression, or adaptive skills deficits, or problems with communication or social skills. Student forms will reveal whether a student is at risk for internalizing behaviors, self-regulation deficits, such as hyperactivity or attention problems, or personal adjustment deficits, such as relationship problems or self-esteem and self-reliance issues. Students are given an overall score, which is the BERIT score. This indicates how far their score is from the average of the norm group. The color coding gives you a glance at how risk is measured as normal risk, elevated risk, or extremely elevated risk. Next slide. This is an example of a score report for a student that was completed by a teacher. We want you to have an opportunity to view an example of what a screener report could tell you for each student. Let's pause for just a few seconds, and then the next few slides will provide more explanation of the components of a score report. Next slide. Let's start by taking a closer look at our sample report. At the top of the score report, you see who the rater or the respondent was, the validity index summary, and the assessment results at a glance. If you look in the column that says assessment results, you see the BERI, or the Behavioral and Emotional Risk Index, which indicates how far away from the norm average that the student scored. Remember the color coding that I referenced earlier. The red dot next to the BERI tells us that this student has scored as extremely elevated in risk, which may indicate a need for support. Also noted is that internal risk is slightly more of a concern than external risk. Next slide. The validity indicators provide an explanation of the extent to which this particular score report may be considered valid and that you can trust the outcome that you see on the report. Validity index indicators will show as green for acceptable, yellow for caution, or red for extreme caution. The F index will let you know how harshly or overly negative the rater was in their responses. The consistency index will let you know if there were different responses provided to questions that are similar. The pattern index lets you know if a pattern was detected that may indicate that the rater selected answers randomly or in a pattern. Here you see that the consistency index is caution, which means that there was a question of how consistent the rater was in responding to questions that were asking similar content. Next slide. Next slide. Now let's take an opportunity to review some of the teacher responses. The teacher has noted the following areas of strength, as also noted by the almost always column associated with positive behaviors. This teacher has indicated that the student is well organized and does well at getting people to work together. If we look at areas of growth, we can see that the teacher has noted the following concerns or areas of growth as indicated by the almost always column associated with negative behaviors. This student worries, has poor self-control, has a short attention span, is easily stressed, and appears tense. Next slide. You may ask, so what happens after my child takes the screener? The screener is a starting point for next steps in determining the best course of action to support students. After schools review data screener reports, school-based student support staff will meet with students of extremely elevated risk or elevated risk to confirm that risk, identify need, and then contact parents to further discuss and recommend the strategy of school support. The schools will then support the student in a manner agreed upon by the school, parent, and the student, and then monitor progress. Next slide. There are many interventions that schools have access to and can employ. Here you see sample interventions that schools may recommend to support the needs of your student. Based on the needs that have been identified, schools can determine additional interventions and strategies to utilize for support. There is not a cookie cutter approach to supporting students, so the work that will go into recommending and tailoring support to fit the needs of students will be essential in helping students to make progress, succeed, and thrive. Next slide. Thank you. And here we will pause for any questions.
Dr. Hervey, we do have one question. That question was regarding, is the information posted on our website? And that link we did share if you want to read it out loud there, but we do have that posted on our website. I will read it out loud for you, actually. The information regarding our universal screener is posted at atlantapublicsschools.us/page/67035. And that takes you directly to the information regarding our universal screener. Again, atlantapublicsschools.us/page/67035.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? All right, if not, thank you for your time, and I will turn it over to Dr. Florence, who will discuss intervention and enrichment.
Good afternoon again. So we wanted to give you some information about our intervention and enrichment block, class, or course. So expectations for intervention or enrichment. All of our elementary and middle schools are expected to have an intervention or enrichment block, class, or course for a minimum of 4 days per week this school year. Schools will have 2 days of math intervention and 2 days of reading intervention. All the other middle schools and high schools will implement intervention during a class or a course. Data, such as data from our MAP assessment that we just reviewed, will be used to help teachers know what students need during intervention or enrichment. So teachers will use that data to guide the instruction they provide during the intervention or enrichment block, class, or course. Schools will use the provided HMH or APEX programs during the intervention block. Schools can decide how enrichment looks in their individual buildings. So the district has provided Renzulli, a learning platform for all schools, but schools do have the autonomy to decide how enrichment looks in their building. It could be book clubs, it could be coding, it could be STEM labs. That may look different depending on which school your child attends. So a little more about our school-based academic intervention block, class, or course. You see the times have been established for elementary school, 30 minutes, middle schools, 45 minutes, high schools, 90 minutes. Our areas of focus are literacy and mathematics. We are working to use the whole child framework and embedded support. It is a comprehensive assessment system using our universal screener, and we will also stop along the way to progress monitor our students. So if you heard me earlier, the MAP assessment is given beginning of the year and the middle of the year. And so in between those two times, teachers will progress monitor along the way to make sure students are moving in the right direction. And if they're not moving in the right direction, then teachers know to change direction so they can make sure that students are growing from beginning to end of year. So a little bit about what you might see if you were to walk into a classroom that was providing intervention. Our schools use the workshop model. And so it really has 4 different components. So the classroom would start with whole group learning, where all students are together. The teacher might review the purpose of today's lesson, what they expect to learn for the day. Then students would move to one of 3 different rotations. So the first rotation would be at the top, you can see student application. That just means that students are working on their own device on one of the platforms we talked about earlier, whether that's HMH, Read 180, iRead, Math 180, one of the platforms that we have provided. Students will be using their own device to work on that particular platform. Students would then rotate to the yellow circle, which says independent reading. So if it's a reading block, class, or course, they would have time to just read independently. If it's a math block, class, or course, during math, you might see students working on an independent math task by themselves. The third rotation would be small group learning. So students would have a time to work with their teacher in small group to work on the specific skills or standards that they need based on their data. On the right-hand side, you see that whole group learning piece again. So to wrap up the intervention block, class, or course, they would go back to whole group learning so the teacher could wrap up the learning for the day and move on to the next day's lessons. So that's a little bit about how the setup of our intervention block, class, or course looks and what you might see as far as what students are getting during that time. We will have questions about the intervention block at the end. You can go ahead and put those in the chat if you have them. And I will turn it over to Dr. Henderson Rosser for our securely portion.
Good evening, parents, and thank you so far for participating with us. This is an exciting time here in Atlanta Public Schools, a lot of great information coming your way. I want to ask a few questions of you, though. Have you ever wondered if your student is on task on his or her laptop? Do you want to make sure that your student is navigating the appropriate websites to accomplish their homework? If you have ever asked yourself any of these questions and many more, Securely is here to help you manage your students on the internet and ensure that they are using their school-issued device appropriately. On our next slide, you will see a QR code and also a link to a website in which you can type in to find all of the information that I am about to present to you. We don't have a lot of time together this evening, so every screenshot that you see me go through will be available at this link or QR code. You can just hold your phone up to that funny little code there and take a picture, and it'll take you right to the website. You'll see every single one of these screenshots on that website. But I want to make sure that you are also aware that your school will be having a hands-on training that will walk you through accessing and navigating the Securely app. So what is Securely? Let's get into that a little bit. It is a new parent portal. It's an app that you can put on your phone, and it will give you some peace of mind around what your student is doing, and you can see your child's online activity. It gives you weekly email snapshots, and it also features a pause button where you can pause the internet for your child. I'll get into that a little bit more. You can also look in real time and see online activity feeds at any time. Next slide, please. Perfect. On our next slide, we talk about knowing, and did you know, that APS is now a one-to-one district. So every student, pre-K and kindergarten, has received an iPad, and all students in grades 1 through 12 have received a Chromebook. Next slide. Just a note, Securely does not monitor iPads, so this particular application does not apply to our pre-K and kindergarten students. Now we've got a quick video that overviews what Securely is and what you can expect from the application.
Every time a school chooses Securely, a multi-layered digital defense is put in place. That's why we're so excited your school has chosen Securely and entrusted your child's online safety to us. Whenever your student is on their school device, we're at work behind the scenes protecting them from inappropriate content or flagging activities that might point to self-harm or bullying. Think of us as your extra set of eyes, keeping kids safe in the digital world. In an effort to make your child's online experience as positive as possible, Securely makes it easier for parents to be looped in by providing you with a weekly email, including a snapshot of your child's online activity. But that's just the beginning. Once you download the Securely Home app, you'll have the ability to view a live feed of your child's online activity, including what sites they're visiting and what searches they're making. With Securely Home, you have the option to enable push notifications and receive alerts for any flagged activities, such as self-harm or bullying. But Securely's home features don't stop when your child leaves school. When school devices come home, the Securely app makes it possible for those devices to play by your rules. Choose to filter your own set of websites and categories. Even hit pause on the internet if you need to. Plus, you're able to set an automated offline schedule for the internet, perfect for dinner or bedtime. For now, be sure to keep an eye out for the email from us containing a download link to the Securely Home app, plus instructions on getting started. Thank you once again for allowing Securely to be part of keeping your child safe online. We look forward to partnering with you in this pursuit.
Okay, awesome. I hope that gave you a quick understanding of what Securely is. We'll get into a little bit more of the different features that are in Securely, but right now I want to talk to you about how do you access Securely? How do you see it? And do you have it right now? You actually do. We have sent an email to the email that's on file in our Infinite Campus system. If you navigate, even at this moment, to the parent portal in Infinite Campus, and you can look and check your messages, you will see that there's an email that's been sent there. Now, if you need to update your email address in Infinite Campus, I'm going to show you really quickly how to do that. And this way you can make sure that the email that you have on file is what we are using to communicate very important updates to you and your family. On the next slide, if you go into the More menu on Infinite Campus, this is in the parent portal, the More menu, click that, select Family Information. And it's as simple as clicking Update next to the family member whose contact information you wish to update. On the next slide, you'll see there, you can make your desired changes. You can change your phone number, email, and that way we'll know what's the proper way to contact you to get you this important information. If this information is correct already, you do have an email waiting for you right now on how to download the Securely app with the proper codes. So now that your email has been updated and you have the app, you can go to the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store to download a Securely app. It's the Securely Home app. Click on download and you can log in. Now, the next screen shows you what the home screen looks like in your application. You will find on the home screen an activity feed of all of your students' activities. Any rules that you've set up as a parent in the rules section will be here. I'll go over what rules are in just a second. If there are flagged activities that you need to be aware of, it will fall under flagged activity. And any offline schedules that you set will also be listed here. You will have the ability to pause the internet on your child's device from this screen as well. Now let's take a quick moment to go through each of these menu items. Looking at the activity feed. This provides a real-time view of your child's online activity. The activities here are displayed in descending order. You can also, if you've got multiple students in the home, you can switch between multiple users. In the right-hand corner, you will find options there to search and filter all of your students' activities. On the next screen, you'll see flagged activities. This section shows you, it's a very important section because it shows you things that may have been searched for by your students, such as bullying or ways to harm themselves. It will alert you that your student is looking at some unfavorable websites. and give you a glimpse into maybe potentially harmless or serious activities that may be related to your child's well-being. Under the rules section, this allows parents, you or a guardian, to set specific rules for your child's school-issued device. Remember, this only works on the one-to-one device that we are giving you from the school district. But you can allow certain websites and block certain websites. So if during that time, your child should only be searching and researching a project or looking at certain things, you can block them from accessing other sites and have them focus directly on their schoolwork. Offline schedules. This is a big one. This allows the parent or guardian to set a specific time in which their child can access the internet. It could be time for bed, it could be family time, it could be dinner time. So at 6:00 p.m., you may say there will be no internet being accessed between 6 and 7:30. You are able to hit the pause button on the internet right within the app, and that device will not be able to access the internet at that time. And this is what it looks like. It's one click within your application, and it's one click to unpause it as well. Now, if receiving a summary email support every week can be a little overwhelming, you can opt in or opt out of the emails. You can unsubscribe. That way, you can just go through your app and see all of the information that you would like to see instead of receiving a weekly summary email. Thank you for listening around the information that is relevant to the parent app. We have the QR code here and the website available as well. I know that we've also dropped a link in the chat for you to see all of the screenshots that I just went through. So please take some time to visit that site so you can see how to download this information and go over this with your child and let them know that you will be watching to make sure that they're on task on their student-issued device. At the next slide, I'm going to pause here for a moment just to review those steps. And you can see how to set up your account. It's really easy. It's 5 steps. These tools should help to ensure that your students become model digital citizens and that they use their school-issued device appropriately. So step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 are also featured on our website. Follow those steps, access your email in Infinite Campus, and you're off to the races. If you would like additional information regarding Securely, or to find out when there will be a live hands-on training, please reach out to your school. And at this time, I'll take any questions. Okay, it doesn't look like we have any questions regarding Securely, but we're monitoring the chat if there are additional questions at this time.
So there was a question about a student attending the Atlanta Virtual Academy and taking the screener. And so all students in APS, whether they are at AVA or in person, will take our universal screener. So that screener applies to all students in APS. Any other questions about the intervention block or Securely? All right, parents, we are asking you to give us some feedback about the session. So there is a QR code on your screen. We ask you to scan that. It should take you directly to a quick 4-question survey about our session tonight. Please know that this is our first session of the school year. We will have a mid-year engagement with families and then also a spring engagement with families. So please be on the lookout for more family or parent cluster trainings where we give you more information about what we are doing in the Division of Academics. Please follow us on Twitter at APS Academics, or just subscribe to our YouTube channel. You see it there, APS Division of Academics. We will post the link to this video here, and then to all of our other cluster videos will also be posted here after we complete each session. Again, we thank you for spending your time with us this evening, and thank you so much for being a part of APS and for sharing your students with us.